The issue of rising sea levels is a global concern, driven primarily by climate change and the melting of polar ice caps. While the effects are felt on a global scale, coastal regions, including those in England, are particularly vulnerable. As sea levels continue to rise, the consequences for England are multifaceted, impacting everything from infrastructure and economy to ecosystems and human lives. In this article, we will delve into the hypothetical scenario of rising waters in England and explore the potential outcomes. One of the most immediate and visible impacts of rising waters in England would be coastal erosion. Low-lying areas along the coast, including iconic cities like London, would face increased vulnerability to storm surges and tidal inundation. The erosion of coastlines could threaten critical infrastructure such as transportation networks, power plants, and residential areas. Historic landmarks, some of which are situated in close proximity to the coastline, would be at risk. For instance, the Tower of London, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, could face the prospect of erosion and structural damage. The economic toll of infrastructure damage would be significant, necessitating large-scale investments in adaptive measures and potentially leading to the relocation of certain communities. As sea levels rise, low-lying coastal areas and islands in England would become uninhabitable. This would force communities to migrate inland, putting immense pressure on existing urban centers and creating challenges related to housing, employment, and social services. The process of relocation and resettlement would be complex and require careful planning to avoid social unrest and economic disruption. Furthermore, vulnerable populations, including those with limited financial resources, might find it challenging to adapt to the changing landscape. Governments and local authorities would need to implement policies to ensure equitable distribution of resources and support for displaced communities. The agricultural sector in England, particularly in low-lying regions, would face significant challenges due to saltwater intrusion and changes in precipitation patterns. Coastal farmlands might become unsuitable for traditional crops, leading to a decline in agricultural productivity. This, coupled with the potential loss of arable land to rising waters, could threaten food security and necessitate the development of alternative agricultural practices. Inland areas, while less directly affected, might experience changes in climate and precipitation that could impact crop yields. A comprehensive approach to sustainable agriculture and resource management would be crucial to mitigate the potential food security crisis. Rising waters would not only affect human communities, but also have profound ecological consequences. Coastal ecosystems, including salt marshes and mangroves, would face habitat loss and degradation. The disruption of these ecosystems could have cascading effects on marine life, including fish populations and bird species that depend on coastal environments for breeding and feeding. Protecting and restoring these ecosystems would be critical for maintaining biodiversity and ensuring the resilience of coastal regions in the face of rising sea levels. Conservation efforts, such as the creation of marine protected areas, would become increasingly important to safeguard vulnerable species and habitats. The hypothetical scenario of rising waters in England paints a complex and challenging picture. While the consequences are severe, proactive and collaborative efforts at the global, national, and local levels can mitigate the worst impacts and build resilience against the changing climate. Addressing the root causes of climate change and implementing adaptive measures are imperative to safeguard the future of coastal regions in England and around the world.